All right, let's dive right in. We love simple stories, don't we? They help us make sense of this crazy, complex world. But what happens when you start to look a little closer? When you pull on the threads of those simple stories and they just start to unravel?
So, in this explainer, we're going to challenge some of our most basic assumptions. We're going to peel back the layers on those simple truths we all just take for granted. We're going to question everything, from the very nature of our own bodies to the fabric of reality itself.
On one side, you've got these neat little metaphors we all learn in school, but on the other, you have this much deeper and honestly way more fascinating reality. Today, that's what we're exploring. We're moving from the simple story to something far more interesting.
Let's start with the most fundamental concept there is, ourselves. I mean, what does it really mean to be a single human individual? Well, the answer might just surprise you.
Okay, I know, that's a pretty provocative statement. And no, I'm not just talking about the microbes on your skin or in your gut. I'm talking about something much, much deeper. An ancient secret that's hidden inside every single one of your cells.
It all comes down to this idea called endosymbiosis. The theory is that mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells, were actually once free-living bacteria. Billions of years ago, they were absorbed by some ancient cell. They weren't originally us at all. They were invaders or maybe refugees that became permanent residents. So we aren't just individuals, we're literally living, breathing ecosystems.
And the proof? It's written right into our biology. If you look closely, mitochondria totally act like ancient tenants in our cells. They have their own DNA, they make their own proteins on their own machinery. They even reproduce on their own schedule, totally separate from the rest of the cell.
And that 99.9%, that represents something incredible. It means nearly all of your mitochondrial DNA is inherited directly and only from your mother. It's a direct, unbroken line stretching back through millennia, connecting you to an ancient bacterial ancestor that made a fateful choice billions of years ago.
So this whole idea of being a colony instead of an individual, it forces us to rethink our origins. So let's zoom out from the self and look at the story of life itself. We often imagine evolution as this straight line, a march of steady progress that leads, of course, to us.
We've all seen that famous image, right? The ape slowly standing up, becoming less hairy, and turning into a modern human. It's simple, it's clean, and it conveniently puts us at the pinnacle of everything. It's also completely, fundamentally wrong.
See, evolution is not a ladder. It's a chaotic, branching bush. And think about this. Your humble city pigeon is a modern-day dinosaur. Seriously. Its ancestors were giant, terrifying reptiles. It's not about becoming better or more complex. It's just about adapting to survive. Even if that means getting smaller, less intimidating, and scavenging for scraps. Survival is the only goal.
So, we've unraveled our biology and the story of life. Now, let's challenge the one thing we trust the most, our own perception of the world around us.
We love the simple story of Newton's apple, but his real genius wasn't just noticing that the apple falls down. I mean, anyone can see that. His breakthrough was realizing the hidden truth. The apple pulls the Earth up with the exact same force. The Earth is just so massive we don't notice the tug.
The physicist Richard Feynman used this great little thought experiment to show there's no single truth about motion. From the kid's perspective in the wagon, the ball rolls back. But from the father's perspective outside, it barely moves. So who's correct? They both are. It proves that what you see depends entirely on where you stand.
And this is where we jump from physics right into philosophy. The real arrogance is assuming your frame of reference is the only one that matters. What we call common sense is often just a failure of imagination, an inability to see the world from another perspective.
So, after all this unraveling, where does that leave us? If our bodies, our history, and even our senses are not what they seem, what's the ultimate takeaway here?
As the writer Saadat Hassan Manto was often told, sometimes gaining knowledge doesn't give you certainty, it actually gives you doubt. It peels back the curtain to reveal just how little we truly know about the world. And you know what? That's a good thing.
Looking back on our journey, you can see the pattern. But the goal isn't just to replace old facts with new ones. It's really to adopt a new way of thinking altogether.
True wisdom is the embrace of uncertainty. It's finding joy in the staggering complexity of things and just accepting that we might not have it all figured out. And that's not a failure. That is the very foundation of discovery and wonder.
So think about it. In your own life, in your work, in the things you believe, what accepted truth might be hiding a deeper, more fascinating, and ultimately, a more beautiful reality?